Hi, everybody. I just wanted to pop on today and talk about a problem that we all have dealt with at one point or another in our lives, and that is constipation. But over the last several years, chronic constipation has become an American epidemic, meaning that uh, 20% of the American population deal with chronic constipation on a daily basis. And all of it, as you can imagine, is tied to the diet. One interesting thing that I found out in my Ayurvedic studies about constipation is that it is linked to some of the most common things that we do every day and really don't see anything wrong with it. But it's adding to our inability to digest the food that we eat. So, the first tip I want to share with you is about when you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning. A routine, a morning routine, an evening routine is super important for your colon to develop its own routine. So, your body is protecting you while you sleep. Don't want anything like that happening while you're sleeping. So, your body is going to wait until you're moving around and awake before it sends the urge for you to have a bowel movement. So, putting yourself on a strict wake up schedule is vitally important to overcoming chronic constipation. Now, I know that everyone's schedule is different, and some people work nights, some people like to stay up late, but staying up late and watching television or playing on the computer or whatever you're doing, staying up late and then making up for those hours after the sun comes up and sleeping in until 9, 10, 11 o'clock is contributing to chronic constipation. So, Ayurveda recommends, like, the number one thing Ayurvedic practitioners recommend to overcome constipation is to get out of bed every morning just before the sun rises. So that sometimes can be 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depending on where you live. I like to get up every morning at 5 a.m. because it's quiet and I can get work done. But since I have been doing that every morning, I have the same schedule and there is no more constipation at all, ever anymore. It's always at the same time when I wake up, shortly after I wake up. So, getting up before the sun rises or just before, like at the crack of dawn, and then going to bed within 3 hours of the sun setting. So that, and no later than 10 p.m. in the evening. Setting a routine like this and sticking to it daily, every day, even on the weekends, is super important to training your digestive system and your lower bowels to operate in a timely manner and to operate every single day. One of the factors representing good health in Ayurveda is having a good bowel movement every single day. At night, while we sleep, our body is digesting everything we ate. And in the morning, it has separated all of the useful nutrients from the toxins and has stored the toxins in the large intestine for disposal. If we don't do what we need to do to make sure that process happens, we become full of toxins. And those toxins cause things like colon cancer, gastrointestinal issues, brain fog, memory issues, kapha imbalance, which is water imbalance in the body, and that leads to obesity. My second tip on alleviating chronic constipation is avoiding cold foods and beverages. So you're like, what about ice cream? You know, occasionally, moderation. But cold water, ice cold soda, which is just really bad anyway for any part of your body, but ice cold drinks out of the refrigerator or freezer contract the digestive system, put out the fire that is the digestive system. In Ayurveda, that's called Agni. And the Agni is the fire inside the belly that literally promotes digestion and moves everything around. Ice cold beverages and foods squelch that ability. Uh, Cold, as you know, contracts, heat expands. In the digestive system, we want expansion. We want free flowing, free moving. That's what you want in the digestive system, not cold, contracted, stiff, rigid. You want warm, oily, um, soft. That's what you're looking for in the digestive system. So, avoiding cold foods and beverages all the time. If you're dealing with constipation, I would strongly recommend you do not put anything cold in your mouth and at all until the problem is alleviated, and then just occasionally. So, um, when you fill your water bottle up, do you fill it up with ice water or just room temperature water? Try filling it up just with room temperature water. My third tip is to avoid raw vegetables. I would avoid anything raw, but raw vegetables are extremely difficult to digest because of the roughage content, and that slows everything down. So if you're dealing with chronic constipation, the best way to eat your vegetables is to cook them in oil. So for instance, I find zucchini to be very relaxing to the colon. If you cut the zucchini up into small pieces and then cook it in some avocado oil with some turmeric or just some pink Himalayan sea salt and cracked pepper, to a nice soft consistency, this really stimulates digestion. And if you eat that before you eat anything else on your plate, that will stimulate digestion ahead of time and help you to properly digest everything else you eat afterwards. Warm Brussels sprouts does the same thing. Any kind of good green vegetable works great. Papaya. Papaya is great for digestion. Here's how you would consume papaya to alleviate chronic constipation. You would first, of course, cut and slice the papaya, take all the seeds out, and then use a little pink Himalayan sea salt, maybe a little bit of pepper, ground pepper. Those are terrific for digestion. So, just when you're thinking about those vegetables, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is fiber. And fiber is definitely important in digestion, but excessive fiber and water can be really detrimental to the digestion process. So fiber supplements are a bad plan. If you have constipation and you overload your body with fiber and water, the fiber expands and blocks the colon. And that is why fiber is not the best idea for getting rid of chronic constipation. But warm water, warm teas, warm stewed or cooked vegetables in oil, those are all great remedies for chronic constipation. My fourth tip is to take 1 tablespoon of organic food grade castor oil in ginger before bed. So if you took the ginger and you soak it in the castor oil first in just a small container, and then boil some water for tea and drop that into some tea. You can add some elderberries to that too, some dried elderberries. That also promotes a healthy digestion. And drink that before you go to bed at night and wake up the next morning and see if that gives you any relief. And my fifth tip for this is to add in more oily, easy to digest foods, warm, soft foods like avocado, zucchini, cooked in avocado oil, like we talked about in number 3, avoiding raw vegetables. Just add in more oily food. So, one thing I really like is cassava bread. You can buy it in the store. They make it. It's called base culture, I believe. Um, the cassava bread with a little coconut oil and some honey is just excellent for adding oil into the colon. The cassava flour is a great delivery system. There's no grains that are difficult to break down. Grains can also be pretty detrimental to the digestive system, especially thick, raw, heavy grains like cereals and whole grains, like the different grains that any kind of grain that is can be really difficult on the digestive system. So going grain free, gluten free can be really helpful. It's not on this list, but it kind of goes without saying to avoid sugar, refined sugar, processed foods, fast foods, all of the other garbage that we talk about avoiding all the time. That can really be helpful. So anyway, I hope that if you are suffering with chronic constipation, that this has given you some ideas and a way to help alleviate this chronic, most aggravating, terrible thing ever. It is literally one of the most important things that you need to address in your health is making sure you eliminate waste every single day at the same time every single day. Thanks for watching.